You ever look at the people in your life and just wonder, how did they become who they are? What was the journey that made them them? Well, today we're going to dive into that because there's this incredible roadmap for understanding a human life, and it's just as relevant now as it was decades ago.
It's a huge question, right? Why are some people so sure of themselves, so secure, while others seem to wrestle with doubt their whole lives? The answer might just be in a series of challenges that every single one of us faces, right from the very beginning.
So the guy with the big idea here was a psychologist named Erik Erikson. He came up with this theory of psychosocial development, and his whole point was that our personality isn't set in stone when we're kids. Nope. He argued that it's shaped across our entire lifespan, all based on how we handle these key social and emotional turning points. And the crucial part? They're all connected.
And this is the roadmap. Erikson gave us 8 distinct stages, from the moment we're born all the way to our final years. Each one has a central conflict, kind of like a fork in the road, that really defines who we become. So think of this as our guide for the journey we're about to take.
All right, so let's start where every story does: childhood. These first 4 stages are absolutely critical. They are literally the foundation for everything else that comes later.
So the very first challenge right out of the gate is learning to trust. As a baby, you are completely helpless. If you cry and you're comforted, if you're hungry and you're fed consistently, you learn a powerful lesson. The world is a safe place. But if that care is spotty or harsh or just plain neglectful, you learn the opposite. And that deep-seated mistrust can echo for years, making it so much harder to build real connections down the line. Getting through this first crisis successfully doesn't just give you trust. It gives you something even more fundamental: the virtue of hope. That core belief that even when things get tough, someone will be there for you. Okay, next up, toddlers. This is when we discover we can do things on our own. It's all about exploration. So if a child is encouraged to try things, to walk, to play, to try feeding themselves, they build what Erikson called autonomy. But if they're constantly told no, or they're criticized for making a mess, what they develop is shame and a doubt in their own abilities. That feeling can really hold them back later.
Come on, if you've ever been near a 2-year-old, you know this one. This is their battle cry. It's the perfect summary of that powerful drive for independence at this age.
And when that me-do-it spirit is supported, the virtue that comes out of it is will. This is the very beginning of feeling like you have some control over your own life, the belief that you can make choices and act on them.
That sense of will flows right into the preschool years, and this is when a kid's world just explodes with imagination. They start wanting to make up games, plan things, lead the other kids. If that's encouraged, they develop initiative. But if their big ideas are always shot down or treated like a nuisance, they can start to feel a deep sense of guilt just for having those desires in the first place.
You see, by supporting a child's imagination, no matter how small their plan is, we help them find the virtue of purpose. That's the courage to dream up goals and actually go after them without being held back by guilt or fear.
And now we hit school age. The world suddenly becomes about rules, homework, and, let's be honest, comparing yourself to others. Kids at this stage are totally focused on mastering new skills, whether it's math or just making friends. When they succeed and get praise for their hard work, they develop a sense of industry. But if they keep running into failure or they're told they're not smart enough, they can develop a deep, nagging feeling of inferiority.
So, this brings the childhood chapter to a close with the virtue of competence. This is that gut feeling, that belief in our own ability to get things done and learn new things. It's a foundational confidence we need for pretty much the rest of our lives.
Okay, so with that foundation in place, we pivot. We're heading into the big leagues, adolescence and adulthood. This is where we take all those building blocks, trust, will, purpose, and competence, and we start to figure out who we actually are as an individual.
The teenage years. Man, they are dominated by one single massive question: who am I? This is the all-out search for identity. It means trying on different hats, exploring new beliefs, figuring out your values. If a teenager has the support and the freedom to do this, they come out the other side with a solid sense of self. But if they don't, they can be left with what Erikson called role confusion, just feeling lost and unsure of their place in the world.
Nailing this stage leads to the virtue of fidelity. Now, this doesn't just mean being loyal to other people. It's about being faithful to yourself. It's about living your life in a way that's true to the person you've worked so hard to become.
So, once you kind of know who you are, the very next challenge is, can you share that person with someone else?
Young adulthood is all about learning to form truly deep, committed relationships. If we can let our guard down and be vulnerable, we find intimacy. But if that fear of getting hurt is too big, we pull back. We risk isolation. And you can see how the early stages play in here, right? If you never develop trust as a baby, this stage is going to be incredibly tough.
And the beautiful virtue that comes from navigating this stage successfully is, of course, love. For Erikson, this was the amazing ability to merge your identity with someone else's without completely losing yourself in the process.
Now we hit middle adulthood, and the focus shifts. Big time. It moves outward. The main conflict now is generativity versus stagnation. We start asking ourselves, what am I contributing? What am I leaving behind? That drive to give back by raising kids, mentoring younger people, creating something for society, that's generativity. The flip side is stagnation, feeling stuck, unproductive, and disconnected from the bigger picture.
And when we successfully lean into generativity, we cultivate the virtue of care. It's this wonderful broadening of concern beyond just ourselves and our immediate family, to the next generation and the world they're going to inherit.
And that brings us to the final stage of life. This is a time for reflection. We look back over the whole story and ask, did it have meaning? If we can look back and feel a sense of satisfaction, a sense that it was a life well lived, we achieve integrity. But if all we see is a list of regrets and what-ifs, we can fall into despair. Facing the end with acceptance, with a feeling of wholeness, brings the ultimate virtue, wisdom. It's the ability to look at your one and only life, with all its triumphs and failures, and accept it without bitterness.
So here it is, the entire journey laid out. From the hope you gain as an infant to the wisdom you find in old age, you can see how every single stage builds on the one before it. Each problem you solve gives you a new kind of strength to carry you forward. But you know, this isn't some rigid checklist. Life is messy. Sometimes we have to go back and wrestle with an old conflict before we can really move on.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question. Looking at this map of a human life, where are you right now? And more to the point, what's the